they are in a
what Pathikrit
classical
is saying
case
for
of
us
debt
is the
trap.
reality, isn't it? That the economy is in shambles, you're dependent on IMF. There is a lot of disillusionment among the citizens, and therefore nobody, at least most of the professionally skilled people, don't want to waste their energy, time and resources in Pakistan when they see that there is no light there, no future there for them.
Now, of course, I started off with admitting the fact that Pakistan's economy is in bad taste. There's a bleak future to it as well, and we are, relying on the IMF loan. Now, no, that's not $1 billion. Now, Pakistan plans to get into a $6 billion loan program. Now, I want to, clarify a few things. There was this Twitter trend. A lot of people were quoting how Tata's company's valuation was as big as Pakistan's entire GDP. It's like comparing apples to oranges. I mean, I'm a student of economics, and I understand what capital valuation, what company's valuation is, and how GDP is a different thing. Because again, Pakistan's GDP, so GDP is all about what you produce in a particular year, not the entire valuation of the assets. I'm sure it's going to be quite bigger than Tata's entire valuation to oranges. But however, I quoted Greek boat tragedy, where 300 Pakistanis were trying to flee away from Pakistan to, of course, towards Europe and Canada or America for a brighter future. Because again, a lot of Pakistanis are in miserable conditions. A lot of Pakistanis are facing the challenge of inflation, massive inflation. Now, I also want to clarify how India, being the fifth largest economy, doesn't justify the fact that their lower strata of PIA. I just want to state one example, and of course, you'll have a limited time on this chapter. The fact is, if Ambani comes to my household income will suddenly rise. But when Ambani leaves my household's average income will suddenly fall. That is the fact what India is facing. The Ambanis, the Tatas are basically raising the average per capita income of the entire country.
We are not talking about India and the Ambanis here. We are talking about what's happening in Pakistan and what Pakistan is doing to retain its citizens. You keep coming back to the point of India, but we're not talking about the Ambanis or India, or we're not talking about all of that. We're talking about your country and what's happening there. What is the government there doing? You haven't even able to choose a prime minister in the last few weeks. You had an election there. That has not happened. But okay, if we're talking about the future of Pakistani citizens, let's not talk about the future. Let's talk about their present. What is the Pakistan government doing for the present of their citizens? How are you planning to retain your citizens who want to move out of the country?
So my friend, Patrick was absolutely right. The government is in shambles. It's about 3 weeks that the elections have undergone, and I hope that in a couple of days we are able to elect the prime minister. The first thing or the priorities of the current government setup is not to make economic conditions better, because again, as soon as they enter new IMF program, there is going to be inflation, there is going to be a massive tax rate hike, and of course there's going to be a massive outflow of Pakistanis, because again, current economic conditions, at least in the 5 years, is not good, and the people of Pakistan are of course hopeless right now. And of course, the air hostess who flew away after 15 years and decided to leave a good paying job. Of course, she was having a job. She was certainly flying around the world, but she decided to leave the airline is because she thought that there's the bleaker future in Pakistan and there's the brighter future in Canada. And of course, there are liberal policies in Canada as well.
That is something that needs introspection. Of course, you said it yourself, leaving a highly paying job is not an easy decision, and leaving your own country is also not one. But Pathikrit, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead, and then I'm going to wrap this up.
Shreya, two things. Most Pakistanis who are elite have dual citizenship. They carry 2 passports. Whenever situation have been bad, they have run away. This time the situation is sort of a point of no return. I just want to say one thing to Faraz. India had a very difficult situation in 1990s when we were on the verge of bankruptcy. We had a huge balance of payment crisis. Look at the way the course correction was done by India from then onwards to today, where in the last 1 decade we have brought out 25 crore out of multidimensional poverty. So it is not that I am saying India has no problem, but India has always tried to work on the issues and do course correction, which I think Pakistan is not willing to do. It has to accept that there are political problems, security related problems. Before you can have economic stability, before you can have investments, you need that stability which is not there. So you have to do that before, you don't even have a prime minister for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So I think it's up to Pakistan to decide. They, for a long time, dependent on Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arab, Qatar, UAE. All three countries have pledged $175 billion investment in India in the next half a decade. Recently, India had a $78 billion deal with Qatar for gas, which means we have worked to develop that thing. We have brought out people from poverty, at the same time created 8 crore new entrepreneurs through Mudra Yojana. So I think Pakistan could have replicated the Indian template, which unfortunately,
you've made your point. Yes, perhaps Pakistan needs a lot of introspection when it comes to retaining their citizens, and that too the ones who are highly skilled professionals. They need to do a lot of work there back home. But I'll have to wrap it up here. Patikrit and Faraz Saeed, thank you very much to both you gentlemen for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective on this extremely bizarre happening that is happening in Pakistan. But well, a lot of introspection that is needed there by the country.